Any given Thursday, College Football Now edition rolling with you. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. And the Oregon Ducks continue to search for their next head coach after Mario Cristobal left earlier this week, Chase. So let's get the audience caught up on what's going on up there in Eugene, and we'll kind of catch you guys up on the latest storylines as well and the latest names around this search. Oregon obviously has to replace Cristobal, who left after 4 years. A lot of rumors around Chip Kelly, a lot of rumors around Lane Kiffin, some other candidates as well. We'll dive deeper into that in just a second. But, Chase, you got to make a decision soon. If you're Oregon, who has a lot of big-name recruits, by the way, but they've already lost 4 since Cristobal has left, early signing day, December 15th. That's less than a week here, so you got to make a decision on who your next coach is going to be.
And that's really significant because one of the calling cards for Mario Cristobal and why he was able to bring that program back up to prominence after Mark Helfrich is because he's such a great recruiter. He was going into the Los Angeles area and stealing recruits that would normally sign with USC because Clay Helton ain't it. So Mario Cristobal was a fantastic recruiter. You look across the landscape of college football, obviously the best programs are the ones that recruit nationwide, and that's what Cristobal did. So you're losing that, and now the early signing period is right around the corner, 6 days away as we record this on Any Given Thursday on Thursday here on Chat Sports. So you need to make a decision, in my opinion, quickly, because without Cristobal, you've seen some players decommit. If you bring in a guy like Chip Kelly, you might have those players come back to the program or even attract other players who might have gone to a USC, might have gone to a UCLA or other programs who want to play in Chip Kelly's offense.
Who will be the next Oregon football coach? Again, we're going to talk about some of the names being thrown around right now, what the latest is, who's being interviewed, and all of that coming up in just a moment. But we want you to get your votes in first. Who will be the next head football coach for Oregon? Get your votes in right now. So here's the latest buzz around the Ducks. We'll start with this top one here. They have spoken with Kalani Sitake, who was number 2, Chase, on our hot board, our top 10 candidates video. What he's done at BYU has been impressive. A lot of people thought, okay, rebuilding year for BYU after winning, 11 games last year, going 11-1 with Zach Wilson, who was the number 2 overall pick in the draft. They didn't skip a beat. They went 10-2, and that's with quarterback injuries, too. They played 2, if not 3 quarterbacks this year, Jaron Hall being the best one of that bunch. But Sitake has been great. Regionally, it makes sense. He's recruited on the West Coast. I think he's done a great job. I think he would be a really good hire. Would he be my top candidate? No, but I think if you end up with Kalani Sitake, if you're Oregon, I think that would be a pretty good job if you were Phil Knight and the Ducks.
Knows the region especially well as well, right? So BYU, a really big brand west of Texas, obviously Oregon in the Pacific Northwest, and I think what Sitake's been able to do at BYU, really impressive. And a big reason why they're going to be joining the Big 12 over the next couple of years is because of the success that he has brought that football program. And among some of those group of 6 schools, BYU has produced a lot of premier pro players, and a big reason for that, his influence on the program. So I think because of his influence and him knowing that portion of the United States west of Texas, it could serve Oregon well if they do want to go in that direction.
Yeah, so we'll see. It sounds like he was one of the first people they did kind of reach out to and
they probably watched our video, honestly.
And honestly, that. But if you're being honest, if you're Oregon, you probably know you've got him if you want him, because that's a clear upgrade from BYU to Oregon. So it'll be very fascinating to see. That could be like their, I guess, fallback option if their top 2 or 3 guys don't connect. But make no mistake, that would not be a bad hire. Like, if you get Kalani Sitake, that would certainly be pretty good. Here's a splashier name. We know this, and this report dropped, I believe, on Wednesday. Phil Knight likes Lane Kiffin, the Ole Miss head coach, who did just sign an extension, but I read a report his buyout didn't increase. So that doesn't necessarily mean the Lane train is unavailable.
And I love Lane Kiffin. Phil Knight reportedly really likes him as well, and it's easy to see why. He's repaired his image over the last several years when he was kind of a misfit, got fired from the Raiders, didn't stay at USC or Tennessee all that long. He goes to Ole Miss after being at Florida Atlantic, and I think he's done a long way in really repairing his image. And offensively, I think he's one of the top offensive masterminds in college football. I love his spread concepts, but I also love his adaptability and how he adjusts on the fly, both with his game plans and then his game management and some of the adjustments that he makes in-game as well. He'll spread you out with 4 or 5 wide receivers when he needs to on short yardage situations situations, he'll also go bunch formations and he'll get physical with you. Now, Ole Miss did sign Lane Kiffin to that contract extension. He's making a lot of money, $7-8 million per year. We were having that conversation inside the Chat Sports offices earlier today. But if Phil Knight, founder, owner of Nike, can back up the Brinks truck for Lane Kiffin, is it a better job than Ole Miss? I would side with saying no for this reason, and there are a multitude of reasons. I'll just tell you one. I just think that Lane Kiffin has Ole Miss going in the right direction right now.
Sure.
And when you're at a job where everything is moving in your favor and you have a little bit of momentum, I just don't see the upside in leaving that and all of the progress that you've been able to make for something that's a little bit more unknown and something that would pay you a similar salary, unless Phil Knight is willing to offer Lane Kiffin around $10 million a year, or that coaching market that Mel Tucker had reset.
Yeah, and we did debate this, and I was actually on the other side. I actually think Oregon is a better job. Now, Ole Miss, much better conference. They're probably not going to be as demanding for elite results as an Oregon would. Here was my point, though.
It's the SEC.
The SEC, while that is obviously a better conference to be in, Ole Miss at its ceiling is like the 5th or 6th best program in that conference,
Yeah.
and that it is its ceiling. Oregon's ceiling in the Pac-12 is the best school in that conference.
Yeah.
Really. Now, Lincoln Riley back at USC, if he gets it rolling, then it's the 2nd best. But I think if you can win at Oregon, we've seen you can win big. Chip Kelly, Mark Helfrich, they got the national championship games. I don't know how Lane Kiffin gets into the national title hunt at Ole Miss. While he can recruit there, you're not going to recruit like Alabama and LSU and Florida and Georgia. Those 4 schools are always going to recruit better. Texas A&M with Jimbo is recruiting incredibly. And now you got Oklahoma and Texas, who, say what you want about Texas, they recruit every year.
Right.
I mean, so you got 6, 7, 8 programs. Auburn, I didn't even mention, that recruit their ass off. And Ole Miss, while Kiffin's done great there, is it going to get better than 10-2, which is what it was this year? We know it can be better at Oregon. We've seen it multiple times in the last decade, so it's comfortable at Ole Miss. He's making a lot of money. As long as he's winning 8 games a year, they're not going to fire him. But if he wants to get in the national title hunt, I actually think it's more possible at Oregon, who, by the way, has better facilities than Ole Miss does. More names, more rumors to get to, but first, this is why you subscribe, because we have healthy conversations, debates, and we're the content daddies, especially when it comes to college football. Hey, we didn't come up with the nicknames, but we see the comments. That's what you guys have been saying. It's free. We're fired up about talking college football every single day at this point. Hit that subscribe button, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Okay, a lot of Chip Kelly buzz. Bruce Feldman said earlier in the week he thinks Chip Kelly would make sense, the history of what he did there. Plus, we just saw a report earlier today, Chase, that that Oregon has requested to interview the UCLA head coach and former Duck, Chip Kelly.
I think it makes way too much sense. Obviously, he had so much success there, going to 4 straight BCS bowl games. He played for the national championship back in 2010, going up against that Cam Newton Auburn-led team in which they won on that last-second field goal. He came to Oregon and immediately was able to turn that program around and really have just profound results.
Yep.
10-3 in 2009, 12-1 in 2010, 12-2 in 2011, 12-1 in 2012, an overall record of 46-7. He knows the area, knows the university, knows the alumni base, and the success was there. And I think you can win bigger at Oregon as compared to UCLA. Now, his new wife is really happy with living in Southern California. I really haven't met a lot of people who don't like living in Southern California, other than some of the weird rules that they have out that way now.
If you're making enough money,
if you're making
it's a great
enough
place
money,
to live.
a lot of taxes, it really doesn't matter. It all equals out
sure.
at the end of the day. I just think it's great for business. It's great for college football. It's great for the Pac-12.
Finish
and really,
what you started, Chip.
The parity that we have this year has made college football and the product riveting. I think Chip Kelly to Oregon makes the product even more exciting.
Yeah, look, we've heard chatter. He likes Southern California. He's finally sort of getting it rolling at UCLA. But if I'm him, I recognize I'm not out recruiting USC, especially with Lincoln Riley now. I'm going to the Pac-12 North, a place where I've won and won big at Oregon. I think it'd be great for the sport. I think it'd be great for the Pac-12 as well to kind of get this USC-Oregon like head-to-head clash in the Pac-12 title game going potentially year in and year out. So pick a coach for Oregon. Which would be a better fit? Type Kiff for Lane Kiffin, type Chip for Chip Kelly. Hashtag bring back Chip, baby. That's what I would like to see for the Oregon Ducks. Get your votes in down in the comments. Couple more. They're going to interview Justin Wilcox.
I don't see it, man. I just don't see it.
I personally think that would be a horrible hire. Like, tell me this. If you swing and miss on Lane Kiffin and Chip Kelly, aren't you taking Kalani Sitake over Justin Wilcox? That's a no-brainer to me. Don't do this, Oregon. Do not hire Justin Wilcox. I think this would be a disaster. Now, he's faced some challenges at Cal where they don't invest. It's kind of a funky school in terms of the athletics department. It's hard to win there. I get all that. That doesn't mean you go hire Justin Wilcox, though. I think this would be an absolute mistake.
I see people in the comment section on the live chat saying Chip Kelly is past his prime. Please don't bring back Chip. You look at the spread concepts and the offenses that high school teams utilize right now, as well as those in the college ranks and in the NFL. It really all started with the influence of Chip Kelly. He's a pioneer in that regard, and while he hasn't been able to go back to the success that he had at Oregon, and yes, he got fired by the Philadelphia Eagles after back-to-back 10-win seasons, by the way, he was not good with the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
He really had to tear UCLA down and really bring them back. And I think the job that he's done there is pretty successful. Yes, Chip Kelly hasn't won big like he did at Oregon several years ago.
Sure.
I still think he can bring those glory days back to the Ducks, and he deserves credit for really changing the landscape of how offensive football is played and talked about.
He put Oregon back on the national map, and they haven't left since he left.
No.
That's because of Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
So I think that alone makes him a very, very good candidate. Now, today's show is sponsored by our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Use our promo code CHAT125. You put down $100, we're going to give you $125 for free to play with. Guys, bowl season just around the corner. NFL, you can bet on games every single week. Make some money throughout bowl season and the rest of the NFL season. Chatsports.com/bet. Use our promo code CHAT125 if you want to make some money throughout bowl season. By the way, Alabama, 13.5-point favorites against Cincinnati, and then Michigan, 7.5-point dogs against Georgia. So yeah. I think there's money to be made there. All right, next up, Joe Moorhead will coach in the bowl. This is a wrong logo here. Not sure why this is Mississippi State, but he will.
He coached there.
He did coach there in the past.
That's why.
He will coach the bowl game as the offensive coordinator. He has taken the Akron job. Could he still be in the mix? I mean, is he trying to angle to say, hey, I'm still invested in this program if y'all want to interview me?
I'd say the chances are slim, and I know I've ripped Manny Diaz for taking that Temple job. Then 2 weeks later, he bolts Temple, leaves them in the dust to go to Miami. It would be a similar circumstance if Joe Moorhead agrees to that Akron job where he was formerly the offensive coordinator earlier in his career, and then he decides, I can take the job at Oregon. Obviously, yeah. I'm not going to rip anybody for that because Oregon is much better than Akron, right? I just think the chances of this are very, very slim. He could still be an option because of the familiarity with the program. Anytime you can win double-digit games with a quarterback in Anthony Brown who was so up and down, so Jekyll and Hyde, that's pretty impressive. I just don't think he's going to be the guy because I think you can go for big fish like a Chip Kelly, like a Kalani Sitake, maybe even Dave Aranda, who people in the comment section are saying throw $100 million toward.
Hey, I mean, if you can get Aranda, I think you'd throw the bank at him.
Yeah.
Like, I'd probably take him over Chip Kelly, and I want Chip Kelly back in Eugene.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there when it comes to the Oregon football opening. Obviously, lots of time to figure this out for the Oregon Ducks.